this time, on Sailing Kittiwake, we pushed our comfort level, surfing down waves at over 9 knots. In this episode, we head on eastwards, visiting the less travelled southern coast of Spain, stopping off at some welcome refugees before preparing to cross to the Spanish islands. As usual, you can't really grasp what it's like from the camera, but it's pretty rolly. It's been really gusty, but we're as protected as we can be because the harbour wall is just there, so right in front of us. And today I think it's going to gust up to 38 again. Woohoo! What you up to, Ryan?
I'm trying to fix the fan from our toilet. It seems like this is like a little computer fan. Both wires are now broken, but it seems like this is just like corroded like crazy.
Do we have another one on board?
We haven't got one the same size. We've got one that's smaller and one that's bigger. So the old fan was like this size, and only ever had a much smaller one or a much bigger one. So I'm going to try the much smaller one, but obviously it won't fit in the same hole. So I had to make like a backing plate type thing with a lid of a President Brie, which quite luckily Elena scoffed all of on her morning watch while I was asleep. So thankfully she provided me with this.
I'm so efficient.
So thoughtful. And so hopefully this will be enough to keep the poo dry.
No need to explain everything so much in detail.
What are you doing today?
Nothing much. As you know, Ryan's been fixing the loo. I've been obsessing over Atlantic crossing videos and just looking at the next anchorages, next places that we can stop at on the way to the Balearics. We kind of just want to get there now. We're in a passage mode. Just want to go sailing and just get to the Balearic Islands, but the wind doesn't really agree with us. So it's about 35 to 40 knots of gusts at the moment. It's not too uncomfortable. We're quite well protected, but I just want to keep going.
Why are you obsessing over Atlantic crossing videos?
I don't know. I think yesterday was the closest we've been to trade wind sailing conditions, like harsher ones, I guess. So I just kind of want to know if Kittiwake would be able to do it. This year we got these pilot books off one of our followers and patron, Nigel. Thank you so much, Nigel. Really appreciate it. He was throwing them away because he's moving houses, so we got them. There's so much more informational and pleasant to use than the almanac, just because they really go into detail about all the anchorages and the places as well, so it kind of gives you a feel for a place, whether you want to go there or not. And it's a pretty old edition, so 2005. So for that reason we try to use a mix of looking up the anchorages on here and then researching them on the internet, or if we're in a rush we'll just use Google Maps to make sure that there's no mooring balls or any new development that might mean that we can't anchor there. So yeah, that's what we've been browsing all morning, desperate to move on.
What time is it?
3:30 a.m. Pre-making some cheese and crackers for once we get hungry. Gonna do a passage to Aguila. Something like that. It's just the next anchorage. That's a good distance up the coast. It's gonna sail about 17 hours today. It's just like the wind is so crazy and confused. It goes westerlies, then easterlies, then it becomes 40 knots, then 1 knot. So we're just sailing, like we're riding the good winds that we can for all the hours that we can, and then stopping off to rest and then doing that all over again. So that's the plan for the week.
When do you think we'll be in the Balearics?
I think end of this week, so today is Monday. So I really hope, I think we have about 3 or 4 passages to do to get there. But it all depends on whether the winds are following the forecast or not. But because we've been in passage mode, we've got all the passage food and the bed made out here in the salon. If we can get a forecast and the winds change to westerlies for ages, then we can just do that, keep going. But I doubt that will happen. Anyway, shall we get going?
It was always on fire, our house, our dreams. We were dancing on a wire, reckless it seemed. We found holes in these walls, we like what we saw. Seems so strong until it falls, the final straw. Oh, I never felt like this before. When I was trapped, you showed it open.
So we're just passing around Cabo de Gata. It's been a really, really stunning morning with the sun rising kind of behind it. I took over from Eleanor at about 7 o'clock just after sunrise because she kindly let me get some sleep just after we set off. I didn't really sleep very well last night. For some reason the wind was holding us in a way that the swell was hitting the back of our boat in the anchorage. So yeah, instead of sleeping then, I kind of got a few hours just after we set off and it was much more comfortable. Soon we'll turn to head off up the coast. The wind's not that strong, I'd say maybe 10 or 12 knots, I guess. But we're still doing 6 knots because I think there's a couple of knots of current going around this cape. It's perfect cruising shoot weather, but with one of us on watch and the fact that we're going to turn soon, and the fact that I was kind of expecting the wind to really pick up around the cape, which it hasn't happened, but for that reason we're sailing under white sails. It's working alright, but the main keeps blanketing the genoa, so I furled away quite a lot of the genoa so it doesn't overlap so much, and then kind of pinned the clew down. That's working a lot better and it's slapping around a lot less. So we'll carry on this course for a bit and then turn off to the left to port to go up to Cape Monte Capo, Monte Cape, something like that.
It's going well so far. I think if we keep on going at 5 knots like now, we should be there before sunset, which is always better when you're anchoring in a new place. I'm really impressed with the coastline here in southern Spain. Everyone said skip South Spain, it's terrible, it's horrible, and that's why we set off hoping to be able to do a 4-day passage to Formentera directly. But so far it's been pretty spectacular, and the mountains are really, really cool. And the day before yesterday there were some mountains with snow on them, and then deserty land and all of that, and it really reminded us of California. That was really cool. So yeah, we're taking a little bit longer, but it seems to be a panoramic view anyway.
What's the weather going to do with the rest of the day?
Hopefully the wind will increase, so maybe we could push it for 6 knots or something.
How's the sails set up?
Ooh, we are on our favourite wing on wing.
Yeah.
It's really nice. I'll show you in a second.
We dance, we fall. We were bound to make mistakes. We love, we thought.
We're about 20 miles from our planned destination for the night. I still can't remember the name of it. I think it's something like Monte Cope, spelled like cope. We're still zipping along at like 5.5, 6 knots. I don't know really what's happened this year. We seem to have gained like a knot and a half or 2 knots. I don't think we're sailing with more skill or anything like that. I think maybe it's just because the bottom's so smooth and clean from copper coating it. So yeah, it goes to show how much of a difference it makes, which is quite good. We've just been listening to some podcasts, listening to one with an interview with Tom Cunliffe, and because of that I'm going to try and teach Eleanor how to tell the direction of the wind using the ripples on the water.
We were dancing on wire, reckless, it seemed. I never felt like this before. When I was trapped, you showed it open.
Do you like your anchorage for the night?
I like it a lot. There's this massive, like, not massive mountain range, there's like this big kind of hill sticking out in front. It's the Himalayas. There's this big hill sticking out in front which is protecting us quite a lot, and it's nice and calm even though the open ocean's only like half a mile that way, or the open Mediterranean Sea. It was pretty bumpy on the way in, and then we just kind of turned this corner, and this little like corner here is just really well sheltered, really well protected from the winds and the waves. So hopefully it'll be a nice quiet night and we can get some really good sleep.
Oh, we need it.
Yeah. As well as checking the pilot book for information on anchorages, we also use this app called Navily, which is quite a recent app, but it's really good. It has all sorts of information on anchorages and marinas as well, and you can actually book marinas through the app. But this anchorage where we're staying at the moment, Monte Cope, if you click on that, then it shows you the whether anchoring is authorized and whether you need to use lines ashore and whatnot, and where it's protected against. So Monte Cope, well protected from the west, southwest and south. And then it also says what the seabed is like, what you can reach by dinghy. The water one is quite useful. But the best thing is that it has reviews from people who have stayed there recently. So you know if there's a recent review saying that it's a decent anchorage, then it's not going to be full of mooring buoys and it's going to be usable.
I had no reason to complain. I didn't have the words to explain.
So today we're setting off to somewhere near Mar Menor, and I think it should take about 12 hours, and we're trying to time the winds so that as we turn to go, instead of heading east to heading north, we need to time it so that winds go from north to southeast. So hopefully we won't spend too much time motoring into the winds, and we hopefully should be able to sail on a beam reach once the wind picks up this morning.
I never felt like this before. When I was trapped, you showed it open door. I had no reason to complain.
Are we going to the Balearics or are we going to the Northwest Passage?
Yeah, Northwest Passage. It's really cold. I can't wait for the summer. why did we reef?
Well, we were doing over 6 knots, which I hadn't really accounted for because I didn't think we'd be able to go this fast going up to the Cape. And if we go too soon, then we'll be there too early and the wind will still be on our nose when we turn to go up to Mar Menor. So I've tried to slow us down. We're still doing over 5 knots though. Ideally we'd be doing around like 4.5, which we would have been lucky to do last year. Like, we weren't doing anywhere near that kind of speed at this kind of angle, but this year the boat's so much quicker that I'm still kind of trying to adjust my planning for the higher speeds. So we might get there and it might still be blowing from the north, so I don't know what we'll do then, maybe heave to or something, or just try and motor into it.
I know it looks really sunny, but it's pretty cold. My stomach is still all over the place, so soup is the way to go.
It's some kind of devotion brings me down.
We can't eat it, but at least we've got some plastic out to see.
Yeah. Arrived in Mar Menor. It's much more built up than we expected. It's just like a series of buildings all along the little coastline. A bit like Key West, I guess. A little bit colder, yeah. My hands are frozen from helming. We found this marina that hasn't been completed and therefore is free. It's like an anchorage in super calm waters. It feels a little bit sneaky to be in here and we're the only boat in, but it was in the paddock book and it's on Navionics, so it should be legit. It's about 7 PM I think, oh yeah, right on the dot, and so we don't think anyone will check on us and we'll leave it in the morning, so it should be fine. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then please share it with anyone who you think would like it, and give us a thumbs up or leave us a comment. These videos are made possible by our wonderful patrons. Join us next time as we reach the crystal clear waters of the Balearic Islands.